We continue now at the top of Daf Memheim with Beis Meseches Eruvin. This is Eruvin Daf 45b. The Mishnah is continuing to discuss a case where two people have Dalit Amos. They are outside their tchum. They find themselves outside of a tchum, but their Dalit Amos overlap. Two of the Amos overlap with each other. And so the Mishnah says they can share that space, they can eat in the middle together. The only thing is that one person cannot take his items and place them outside of his own tchum in the tchum of his friend. Rashi here says, person shouldn't stretch his hand out to the outer two amos, where it's not his tchum, then he's going to put his bread there or his object there, because his objects are the same as his feet. It says that when it comes to animals and vessels, they follow the feet of the owners. The entire Dalit Amos that each person has is like a Rishus HaYachid. You cannot be machnes or motzi. You can't take something from Rishus HaYachid to Rishus Ravim. Similarly, you can't take it from your tchum to outside of your tchum. Rashi here points out, there was a case earlier where a person is measuring his 2,000 amos and they end in the halfway through a city. The Tanya La'el, where we said in the Brisa before, that he can move around things in the entire city if he throws it. In other words, even though he can't walk the whole city, he can throw something outside of his tchum. The only condition was he can't walk outside of his tchum. Apparently, even though it's asr for him to walk to a certain area, it's mutter for him to be motzi it outside the tchum. That directly contradicts what we're saying over here. So he answers, Rashi answers, the hasam kula chada reshusahu. Over there, it's all really one reshus. V'inami kolsam idaso chutz la'ir, and let's say even his measurement, his 2,000 amos, ended outside of the city. Mutter l'taltal michutz l'tchumo l'soch tchumo. He'd be allowed to move things from outside of his tchum into his tchum. Shtei amos bazeh, shtei amos bazeh. Let's say he goes 2 amos in one and 2 amos in the other. The kula rishus harabim, it's all rishus harabim. The alpayim didei lo shavinu rishus hayachid lagabe, because his 2,000 amos that he has, that's not a rishus hayachid. That's considered rishus harabim in terms of him. To ha'asr little tulebu, you're not allowed to carry things in that area. Avol dalit amos, but when we give a person dalit amos, which is the case of our Mishnah, the yotze chutz l'tchum, in a situation where a person left his tchum, u'denosen es eruvo u'dekona shvisa baraglav, somebody places his eruv, somebody's kona shvisa with his legs, shavinu, meaning with his whole body. Shavinu rabbanon legabei kerushations. We say that your dalit amos, that is a rishus hayachid. V'asar l'hu midrabbanon letaltal misochan l'chutzlan, and there it actually is also midrabbanon to carry from those dalit amos to outside of those dalit amos. The Gemara now continues with a similar case. Hayu shlosha. Let's say you had 3 people. Voyem tsoy muvla beinen, and the guy in the middle, he shares a tchum with both people on the outside. Again, the same idea. Hu mutar imo, and he's allowed to be with them. Vehein mutar imo, and they can eat together with him, be with him. Ushnayim hachitzonim asurin zemzeh. But the 2 people on the outside, they're asur with each other. Amar Rabbi Shimon. Rabbi Shimon says, Lama hadavar domer. What's this comparable to? L'shalosh chatzeros hapsuchos zu lezu psuchos l'rishos haravim. Let's say you have 3 chatzeros that they have doorways to each other, but they also have independent doorways to Rishus Harabim. So they're not answering one on the other. I don't need to go through one chutzner to get to the Rishus Harabim. I have a direct entry to Rishus Harabim. So if they want, they can make an Eruv, but they certainly don't answer against each other. So the halacha is, Irvu shtayim imhoim tzais. If the 2 outer chatzeros make an Eruv with the middle guy, he mutaris imahen, vehe mutaris ima. They are mutter with the person in the middle, and he is mutter with them. Ushtayim hachitzonos asuro zuimzu. But the 2 outer chatzeros, they can't carry from one to the other. They're asur to one another. So it's the same basic idea over here. You can have a situation where the guy in the middle is mutter with the 2 people on the outside, but the 2 people on the outside are not mutter with one another. The Gemara now addresses the first part of the Mishnah. The Mishnah was talking about whether or not someone who is sleeping is kona shvisa, and Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri was lenient and said someone who's sleeping is kona shvisa. So boy, Rava asks the following question. My kosavar Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri. What does Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri hold? Mizvar kosavar chefze hefker konen shvisa. Does he hold that items which are hefker, they have no owner, they have no owners, they are kona shvisa, they are kona their own tchum? Uvedinu deliflik bekalim. They could have had a machlokas by kalim. Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri would have said that the kalim are kona shvisa, and the chachamim would have said no. The only reason they're arguing by people is lahodiacha kochan the rabbanon, is to tell you how strong the position of the rabbanon is, how strict they are. The alfagav the equal memar hol v'neir kana yashanami kana. Even though you have a svara to say, since if he would have been awake, he could be kona shvisa, so sleeping also. Kamash malon delo. So they want to teach you no, the rabbanon are strict even by a person. Oh, Dilmar, maybe Kasavar Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri b'Alma Cheftzei Hefker ain't Kohen Shvisa. Maybe Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri is strict when it comes to Cheftzei Hefker. He says they're not Kohen Shvisa because they have no owner. And here, what is the reason why Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri is lenient? Hoel v'neir kana, since if he was awake, he would have been Kohen Shvisa. Yashin nami kana. He also is Kohen Shvisa while he is sleeping. Rashi over here says Cheftzei Hefker kelim she'ein lehem bailim. We're talking about vessels, utensils without owners. V'chasheichol en b'makom echad, and Shabbos comes. Alpha gav shalom eskavin len adam, even though nobody had any kavana lahaknos on shvisa to give them shvisa, still konen shvisa b'mekom when they get shvisa where they are. V'yein adam yachol l'tazal misham yoser mi'alpayim l'chol ruach, and a person's not allowed to move it more than 2,000 amos in every direction. V'afilu irev l'tzad acher, even if the person had an erev to the other side. Now here it comes out interesting that if you're going to say that Cheftzei Hefker are Kona Shvisa, it actually comes out to be a stringency, even though when it comes to a person, it comes out to be a leniency. In other words, Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri says that a person who's sleeping gets Shvisa, that gives him 2,000 amos in every direction. Chachamim say you only get Dalet amos. So there, it's a leniency to be Kona Shvisa. By Cheftzei Hefker, if Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri says it's Kona Shvisa, that's going to get only 2,000 amos in every direction, whereas the other opinion will say there's no Shvisa, there's no ownership, but you could take it wherever you want. Whoever picks it up is going to be able to take it wherever his tchum is. So the Gemara says, Amar Rav Yosef says, Tashma, come in here. I'm going to bring you a proof whether or not Cheftzei Hefker are Kohen Shvisa. It says in the Brisa, Geshamim sheyardu me'erev Yontiv. Let's say it rains before Yontiv and the water collects somewhere. Yesh len alpayim amos l'chol ruach. That water has a tchum of 2,000 amos in every direction. Seems like it is Kohen Shvisa. But Yontiv harein karaglei kol adam. If it rains on Yontiv, so then it has no tchum at all. Whoever picks it up can take it wherever they can go. So, Iyamr b'shlama kasav Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri Cheftzei Hefker Kohen Shvisa. If you say that Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri holds that items which are Hefker are Kohen Shvisa, Hamani Rabbi Yochanan, then this is Rabbi Yochanan. It makes perfect sense. We have a Tana that says that Cheftzei Hefker are Kohen Shvisa. Eloi Iyamr Cheftzei Hefker ain't Kohen Shvisa. But if you're going to tell us that Cheftzei Hefker are not Kohen Shvisa, Hamani, so then who is the author of this brisa, which seems to say they are? Lo Rabbi Yochanan v'lo Rabbanan. It doesn't follow Rabbi Yochanan or the Rabbanan because neither of them hold that Cheftzei Hefker is Kohen Shvisa. So Yosef Abaye, said, V'komer lo hashmaita. He said over this sugya, Amar le Rav Safra la Abaye, and Rav Safra said to Abaye, what do you mean? I can tell you that the brisa is not talking about a situation of Hefker at all. V'dilma b'geshamim hasmuchin lo ir askinon. Maybe we're talking about where it rains near a particular city. V'yanshe oso ir daitam alayu, and the people of that city have das. They have intention the whole time that that water is theirs. So really, this water does have a bailim, and that's why it gets a tchum of 2,000 amos. So Amar Le, so he said to him, Lo salka daitach. Don't think that is the case. Why? Because we have another proof that this is true. That's nan, because we learned in the Mishnah, Bor shel yachid keragli hayachid. Let's say you have a pit, a well, and it belongs to an individual, then it follows that individual. He's the owner. If it belongs to a city, it follows the tchum of the city. And now if you have a bore with water that's meant for people who are traveling on the road, people coming up from Bavel, it just follows whoever fills up, whoever uses that water. Vitanya, but there's another brisa that says bor shel shvatim. If you have a bor of the shvatim, which is really the same thing, it's a public bor. It gets 2,000 amos in every direction. So kasha nadadi, this is a contradiction. We have one source where it says, one Mishnah where it says that it's getting a tchum, and the other Mishnah says it doesn't get a tchum. So here you have another proof. It seems that Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri holds Cheftzei Hefker Kohen Shvisa, and the Rabbanan say it's not. So Kiyasa Lakami de Rav Yosef, when he came before Rav Yosef, Amar Lei said to him, Hachi Kamer Rav Safra, Vachi Hadrila, you should know. Rav Safra said the following to me, and I answered as follows. This is what I answered Rav Safra. Amar Lei, so Rav Yosef said to Abaya, Va'amaylo Teimale Migufa. You could have answered from the very first price itself. You didn't need to bring a whole contradiction in Tanoim to show him that Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri holds this. The original brisa we brought was a solid proof. Why? Because if you think that original brisa was talking about rain that was near a city, so it wasn't completely hefker, it should not have said that that water gets a tchum of 2,000 amos in every direction, which is what the brisa said. It should have said, it should have said that it follows the people of the city. So just from the language of the brisa, you see that brisa held that Cheftzei Hefker Kohen Shvisa, and who is that? Who is the author? It must be that Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri holds Cheftzei Hefker Kohen Shvisa. The Gemara continues at the two dots. Amar Mar, the master said, this is quoting the Brisa above. It said in the Brisa, B'yomtiv harein karagle kol adam. If the rain falls on Yontiv, so then it doesn't get its own tchum. It just follows the feet of whoever picks it up, the tchum of whoever picks it up. So the Gemara says, Ve'amai, why is that the case? Likni shvisa bukainis. Why doesn't it get shvisa in the ocean? Because where was it when Shabbos started? It was in the ocean. Leimo deloka Rabbi Eliezer. Let us say this brisa does not follow Rabbi Eliezer. Dika Rabbi Eliezer ha'amar kol ha'olam kulo mimeo kainas hushosa. If it was Rabbi Eliezer's opinion is that the entire world, all the rain that comes throughout the entire world, all ultimately comes from the ocean, comes from the Atlantic Ocean. So the Gemara answers, Amar Rabbi Yitzchak. Rabbi Yitzchak says, no, not necessarily. It could be this brisa does not follow, or does follow Rabbi Eliezer. However, here the situation was that we saw the clouds on Erev Yom Tov. So we know this rain was not in the ocean at the time that Shabbos started. It was actually in the sky. It was in the clouds. And therefore, since we know that, so therefore it doesn't have any tchum because it fell on Yom Tov. Gemara says, what do you mean? Maybe those clouds left, and these are new clouds. How do you know which clouds exactly it fell from? Gemara answers, no, we have some kind of siman. We knew what the clouds look like. We know for sure that this particular water which fell on Yontiv was in the clouds when Yontiv began, and that's why it never got its own tchum. Gemara then answers again. Another answer, Viba Yisema, have a suffix de Divrayim. Or you could answer, it's really a suffix. You're right, we don't know for sure where it came from, but it's a suffix de Rabbanan. The suffix de Divrayim lahakil, when you have a suffix de Rabbanan, you can be lenient. We don't know exactly where this water was when Yontiv began, but we can assume that it was in the sky and therefore it didn't have a tchum. The Gemara then says, "V'likni shvisa ba'avim." Well, why doesn't it get a shvisa in the clouds? If it was in the clouds when Yontiv began, that should be where the tchum is measured from. Gemara says, Tifsha Mina, should we see from this, the Ein Tchumen Lamala Miyud, that there's no Tchum above 10 Tfachim from the ground? The Yesh Tchumen, because if there is Tchum above 10 Tfachim, this was a question we had earlier in the Masechet, if there is Tchumen above 10 Tfachim, Likni Shvisa Ba'avim, it should have Shvisa in the clouds, but it doesn't, so apparently there's no Tchum above 10 Tfachim. Gemara says, or at least according to this brisa, so the Gemara says, Liola mei malach yesh tchum, and it could very well be that you can get a tchum above 10 tfachim from the earth, above 10 tfachim from the ground. Umaya be'eva mivla bli, but when it comes to water in the clouds, that water is absorbed. Rashi says, Mivla bli uchaman deles nudami. It's like it's not there at all. Water in a cloud doesn't even count for being somewhere. V'lo kanelu shvisa emish. It's not kona shvisa last night when Yontif started, and that explains the position of the brisa that it has no makam shvisa if it falls on Yontif, and we'll continue with this discussion in the next video on Daf Mem Vav Amud Aleph.